Today we're going to learn how to weave using what's called a weaving loom. So we need string, tape, scissors, and then I created a weaving loom with some cardboard. So first measure your string. It's about the length of my arm. Then we're going to set up how to weave. So that cardboard is called a weaving loom. I take some string and I'm going to tape it on one side. Just a little bit of tape about the length of your thumb. Tape it down, then you're going to pull it through one of those little holes. Take it across, pull it down through the other end, and then you just repeat. And you can see on the back what it looks like, but it's really easier if you just hold it on one side facing you, and I'm just going down and up. So I'm really just wrapping it around the loom, but I'm using the indented part that I had cut to hold the string or the yarn in place. All right, then when I get to this point, I know that I can stop because there's no more indentions to wrap it around. So I'm gonna cut my string and just tape it. See where I'm taping? It's on the opposite end of where I first taped my yarn. After you tape that string down, flip over your weaving loom and let's get started. So I'm going to use yarn. I think it's the best material to use. I'm stretching out about the length of my arm and then I'm going to cut it so that I just have the thread. So snip. Then I wrap up the rest of my yarn on my yarn ball. And now is the step where I will thread my yarn through the eye of my needle. If you forgot how to do this, I have this on another video, but I wrapped it in tape so it's a little easier. Okay, thread it all the way through until the other end is near your needle eye, and then I'm going to actually tie it. So it goes under and through, I pull and it makes a knot. Okay, now I'm ready to start. So hold your weaving loom vertically and then you're gonna go under the first string with your needle. Okay, let's watch that again. So I go under and then I go over my next string. So under. Try to show you a good angle. Go under, over, under. See that? If I pull it, I could actually show you that pattern. But then it just continues. So I go under, over, under, over. It creates a little pattern. Then when I get to the end, I'm going to pull my string all the way through. Keep going. Keep going, pull it through until you get to the end where I first threaded the yarn, and watch what we're gonna do. Now, if I kept going, the string would pull out and it wouldn't work anymore. So I'm actually tucking it into one of those indentions, flipping it over, and I'm just simply gonna tape it right there. You know that you're taping it in the right spot because it's right on top of that other spot where we taped. Okay, now, you just go back. So since the string is already under, see how that's under? Then it needs to go over. So you just repeat the pattern. Under, over, under, over. Pull through, but while I'm pulling, I'm going to be gentle. If I pull too hard, it will actually bend the weaving loom. Ooh, see how I pulled that too hard? Those white strings went together. So I'm gonna loosen it up a bit. And my goal is to keep my white string straight. So it looks like the strings on a guitar. All right, since I went over the last time, I start under and then the pattern repeats. Under, over, under, over. When I get to the end, I pull, but I wanna keep those white strings straight so I don't pull too hard. And then the pattern repeats on the other side. Keep going, pull through, there you go. And then you'll notice if you want, you can actually pull your yellow yarn pieces like together so that it just looks a little closer and you don't see the white strings as much. That's up to you. That's a design style. When you've reached the end of your yarn, well, there's a few things you can do. You can simply just cut it off and then get another piece of yarn. And what I want to do is I want to do a different color because I think it would look nice if I have multiple colors on my piece of yarn. If you don't want that, you just end up adding another yellow piece of yarn. But I want blue or navy actually. So I tie together a navy piece of yarn to that yellow piece of yarn I've been using. All right, next step is you need to measure your new yarn. This helps because you actually have to cut it from the yarn ball. So check out what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna measure about the length of my arm, so all the way to my shoulder. I take that piece and snip. After I snip it, I have to thread it through my needle. Now I had already cut that yarn, so you can just untie that knot, or you can use your scissors and very gently cut the knot off. Just make sure you're being very safe with your scissors. All right, so I've already cut the yarn, time to thread through the needle. Sometimes we don't need to tape the end and it will just go through the needle fine. So it just goes there and you don't actually thread it through any further. After it gets through the hole, we're going to tie a knot. And so it goes under and through, pull for the knot, and I'm ready to start weaving again. So I have to keep the pattern going, over, under, goes through, and okay, cool. Now you're gonna see that knotted part looks a little strange. Don't worry, we're gonna fix it. So don't let that bother you right now. Just keep on weaving. All right, now if that knot gets in your way, look what I'm gonna show you. You could put your fingers under the white strings and just kind of pull that knot down. The side we cannot see will be the back of this product that you're making, and so it really doesn't matter. Also, I want to not have the white strings show, so I'm actually, every time I finish my weaving strand, I'm going to try to pull those navy strings a little together. See how I'm just scooting it together? That's up to me. You can have the white string showing. It is definitely just up to you as the artist. All right, now we're going to fast forward. If I showed you every piece that I weaved, that would take forever. So fast forward, I decided to change colors as I was weaving, but now I'm at the end. So I have to make a knot. So I go underneath the white strand. All right, there's a little loop. I'm going to put my string through the loop and scoot it down, pull to make my knot. I did it really slow because I was being very careful. Okay, cool. Now it's stuck on the weaving loom, so we're gonna cut it off. This is how you do that. You take it, you look at the back. Okay, this is the front, just showing you. I like how it looks. Any last minute adjustments, just kind of pushing my strings together. Then I need to untape that one strand. See where that yellow yarn is? Well, now if I untape it, it's loose. So I have to go under, make a loop, go through my little hole, and I'm going to tie a knot on that end. This is so that my yarn will not unravel or come apart. All right, after I made my knot, flip over your weaving loom, and we're going to cut the white strings so that our material comes off. I just cut right in the middle, slide them to the sides. You have to untape where you had taped to start. So untaping both of those pieces. And here's the big reveal. Flip it over and voila. here is your weaved piece of fabric. It kind of looks like a small scarf or like a little rug. It could also be a wall decoration. It's really up to you, but I think it's pretty beautiful. So I'm just cutting the end of that yarn just to make it look a little nicer. And then if the little knotted parts bother you, well, you can just tuck them into the yarn and no one will really see them. So when I flip over my fabric, see those knots there? I'm just gonna kind of play with them until I get them to lay flat. It does not have to look perfect. This is the back side, so no one will really see it. Okay, looking pretty good. I am really happy with the way that it looks. Now, an additional step, if you want to, is you could tie knots on the end of with your white strings. That's just to make sure that your yarn that you weaved does not come loose at all. You do not have to do this. This is just an extra step. Some people like the way it looks, but again, that is up to you as the artist. So if you do want to tie the knots, simply just make a little knot around the yarn that you weaved. So that would be my yellow yarn here, and I'm going to tie each one. All right, here's an up close of what it looks like knotted, and then this is what it looks like when it's not knotted. So you can decide what you would like. I think both of them look excellent. All right, and that's my weaved product. I think it's really cute. I would probably put it on my wall, or if I have a succulent, put it by that. Okay, I hope you learned a lot and have fun weaving.